Alright guys, there's a topic I'm going to talk about today. As you can see, got a fairly newer / older bike in front of me. This is actually a 2007 Suzuki GS 500F. To us, this would be considered kind of a newer bike. I mean, it has newer body style, looks newer, but here's the thing. This bike is a 2007. It's an older bike. It looks, kind of on the newer side, but at the same time, it's definitely an older bike. I think what I really want to talk about here is I want to discuss buying a used older motorcycle from a dealership. What a lot of these dealerships don't tell you. And these are things that I feel like everybody should know. And this would prompt me to tell you to ask a lot of questions when you go to purchase an older used bike. Something like this is still running carbureted. Even though it's a 2007, it's a carbureted machine. You will find that about majority, 80% of motorcycle shops do not work on carbureted bikes anymore. They are trying to phase out the carbureted machines for obvious reasons. Fuel injection, more efficiency, easier to control EGR systems and pairing systems and hit emissions control. Overall, you'll have a lot less fuel problems. But here's the thing, and this is what I want you to understand, is that a dealership doesn't care about the age of the motorcycle when they sell it to you. A dealership will sell you something from the 70s. They don't care. But here's the thing. Because they will sell you the bike does not mean the dealership will work on the bike after they sell it to you. And I find that a lot of people that purchase older used bikes from dealerships have the expectation that because they sold it to you, they're going to work on it as well. Bikes that are carbureted are really hard to find mechanics to work on these things. I happen to enjoy it because I know that it only takes a few things to make a carburetor run. Whereas fuel injection has an entire computer system of craziness to fail, right? It's great when they work, but when they don't, it is just an absolute nightmare trying to track down all those problems. You can't just take your car and hook up an OBD2 scanner to it and run a code. You can on bikes, but you got to take it to a shop. They have to have a specific machine that gets plugged into it. It's not like a car. So when your bike starts having problems with fuel injection, you're going down a world of hurt because it's very costly to fix fuel injected stuff, whereas carburetors, it's much, much cheaper. And the reality is carburetors are just easier to maintain. They are. They may have a little bit more fuel problems, and they have to be, maintenance-wise, they have to be cared for pretty closely, meticulously, but at the same time, they almost are guaranteed to work. I mean, air, spark, fuel, that's what it takes to run a bike. If you have those things, bike should run. I mean, fuel injection, you have O2 sensors, your fuel pump has to be a closed loop system. It has to create enough pressure, which is normally almost 40 psi. Your fuel lines have to stay in good condition. Your high pressure lines, your fuel injectors need to be cleaned every once in a while. Your fuel pressure regulator needs replacement every once in a while. Like, there's a lot involved in fuel injection versus a carburetor. Carburetor is like, oh, it doesn't work. We'll just take it apart, clean the jet valve, slap it back together, check your float heights, and you're done, and that's it. Or rebuild the carb. Carb kits are like $13 to $25. They're cheap. That's just why I prefer carbureted bikes. They might be a little bit more work maintenance-wise, but at the same time, I don't have to worry about whether my O2 sensor is going to start giving me problems while I'm out on a trip. This bike doesn't give a shit if it's running, rich or under power. It's still going to run. It's going to push itself and run regardless. But bike dealerships do not tell you that they will not work on the older machines. I guarantee. They will sell you the bike all day. They don't care the age of the bike when they sell it to you. But when you call them and say, hey, I'm experiencing some problems with my bike, I need to bring it in, they're going to go, well, I'm sorry, we don't work on bikes that are older than 10 years old. And you're going to go, well, but I just bought this bike from you. What do you mean you don't work on bikes that are older than 10 years old? Yeah, their policy now, most shops and dealerships, their policy, especially for the service department, is that they do not take in bikes that are older than 10 years old. So when you buy a bike like this, expect that you're walking into it having to learn how to fix it yourself, because 80 to 90% of shops out there, especially dealerships, don't. They won't even touch this bike. If you start telling them you're having lean sneeze problems and all sorts of other issues, they're not going to fix this bike. They'll be like, oh, hey, listen, we know this shop down the road that you can call. Then you call that shop and they go, oh, listen, we don't do that either. Try this shop. You'll just get bounced around shop to shop to shop to shop, right? Nobody wants to work on them. I don't know why. They're super simple to work on. They're not a pain. Carbureted bikes are just easy. They just don't want to deal with it. They'd rather just hook it up to a computer that they have and go, okay, it's telling us that it's got a faulty regulator. All right, let's replace the regulator. They don't want to have to troubleshoot, and that's kind of what I find fun about the older bikes is the troubleshooting part, because it forces you to learn a lot about each machine that you put your hands on. As you go, you amass that knowledge, you get smarter, you can start buying all the bikes you want, fixing them yourself, and that's what I believe is the fun in it. But I caution you, when you buy a used motorcycle, an older one from a dealership, if it's older than 10 years old from the current date that it is, okay, you should ask, do you guys work on these after I buy it? Because if they say no, I would avoid that service department in that dealership. Why would they sell you a bike they're not willing to work on themselves? I mean, that's crazy to me, right? I don't know what's happened to mechanics. I don't know why they've decided to go this route, especially dealerships and service departments, but I can tell you right now, in my honest opinion, it's horseshit. It's horseshit that they're choosing this route, okay? These bikes aren't hard to work on. They're not complicated. There's not much to them. They're very simple systems. The fact that they won't do the work blows my mind. They just want to simplify their job by only having fuel injection because they have, computers that'll actually diagnose it. So, whereas the average dude in his garage doesn't have that kind of technology available to him, right? You can order these things, but it's hard to track down the parts that you need, the specific scanner that it's going to require to do it. There's a lot involved. Ask your dealership before buying an older bike whether they work on it, because if they don't, I would suggest not buying it unless you're willing to take the learning curve of how to repair, fix, and maintain these bikes yourself. All right? If this helped you guys out, drop a like, smash that subscription button. I make these videos for you guys. I don't make them for me. So if that's your way you can help me back. It takes 2 seconds of your time, right? Maybe a second. Show some love. Show some support, man. I've got more videos coming for you guys. I'm going to talk about how to assess a bike that you're going to look at that is a private sale, and how to determine whether it's a bike you should take home with you for work or repair yourself to get it going because you found it for a cheap price. I've got a whole video that I'll be making about that. Yeah, and then I'm not quite sure where we're heading from there. I'm probably going to start looking for another bike project here pretty soon. So, yeah, I hope that helped you guys. Like I said, drop a subscription, man. Show some support, and I'll catch you guys on the flip. Toodles.
Are you sure this is okay? You're in country, dude. Live a little. Now, she's pretty sensitive, so go easy on the throttle, okay? All right.